Before Moses ever became a prophet, before the Red Sea, before the plagues, before Pharaoh ever heard the words, "Let my people go," Moses was born into a world that wanted him dead. Pharaoh feared the growing number of Hebrews in Egypt, so he gave a brutal command. Every Hebrew baby boy was to be thrown into the Nile. Think about that. Moses' story begins before he even has a voice, before he can choose anything, before he can defend himself. He is born into a system that already decided he was a threat. That is not just history, that is psychology. Some people are born into environments where their existence is already treated like a problem. A family system, a social system, a political system, a place where survival begins before identity can even form. And Moses' mother does something desperate. She hides him. Then she places him in a basket on the river. The same river that was supposed to become his grave becomes the place where his future begins. That is the first hidden truth of Moses. God can use the very place meant to destroy you as the place that carries you into purpose. Then something almost impossible happens. Pharaoh's daughter finds the child. The baby that Pharaoh's system wanted dead is adopted into Pharaoh's own house. Moses is Hebrew by blood, but raised Egyptian by culture. He grows up as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. That means Moses likely absorbed the world of Egypt from the inside. The language, the education, the structure, the power, the religion. Egypt was not just a country. It was an empire of order, control, gods, symbols, wealth, and slavery. And Moses grows up in that world. But here's the psychological fracture. The palace fed him, but the people in chains looked like him. He lived in privilege built on the suffering of his own blood. That kind of identity split does something to a person. You can have access to power and still feel homeless inside. You can be raised by one world and still feel called by another. Moses was not simply adopted, he was divided. One day he went out and saw his own people doing hard labor. That line matters because it means something inside him knew. He may have worn Egyptian clothing, but something in him still recognized the Hebrews. This is where identity becomes painful. He is between two worlds, too Egyptian for the slaves, too Hebrew for the palace. Moses carries a question many people carry quietly. Who am I really? And until that question is answered, power does not bring peace. Then Moses sees an Egyptian beating a Hebrew slave, and something breaks. Moses looked this way and that, and when he saw no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. This is not just anger. This is identity exploding. For years, Moses may have carried the tension silently. He tries to bring justice with his own hands. But when identity is unresolved, anger often becomes the language of the wound. Anger can expose your calling before your character is prepared to hold it. The next day, two Hebrews are fighting. Moses tries to intervene, and one of them says, "Who made you ruler and judge over us?" That question cuts deep. He is not fully trusted by the Hebrews. He is now dangerous to the Egyptians, and suddenly he belongs nowhere. When Pharaoh hears what Moses has done, Moses runs. He leaves Egypt. He leaves the palace. He leaves the identity he grew up with. He ends up in Midian. A prince becomes a fugitive. A man raised around power becomes a shepherd. In Egypt, Moses had status. In Midian, he becomes almost invisible. Sometimes that is exactly where God begins to remake a person. Because exile is not only punishment. Sometimes exile is the place where the false self dies. The desert slows him down. Sheep do not move like empires. Wilderness does not clap for talent. For 40 years, Moses learns a different rhythm. Silence, patience, hiddenness, ordinary obedience. This is one of the deepest patterns in the Bible. God often prepares people in places that feel like they have been forgotten. Then one day, Moses sees a bush burning but not consumed. God calls to him from the bush, "Moses, Moses." And Moses answers, "Here I am." This moment is powerful because God does not call Moses when he is at the height of palace confidence. God calls him after failure, after exile, after Moses has likely stopped imagining himself as a deliverer. And God says he has seen the suffering of his people. "I have surely seen the affliction of my people, and I have heard their cry." And God gives Moses the mission, "Go to Pharaoh, bring my people out of Egypt." But Moses does not react like a hero. He asks, "Who am I?" The palace version of Moses was too fast. The wilderness version of Moses feels too weak. But God does not answer Moses by saying, "You are powerful." He says, "I will be with you." That is the psychology of calling. God does not build Moses' confidence around Moses. He builds it around presence. Moses keeps resisting. He asks, "What if they do not believe me?" Then he says, "I am slow of speech and tongue." Many people think calling means confidence, but sometimes calling begins with resistance. And God answers Moses, "Who gave human beings their mouths? Your weakness is not hidden from me." That means your limitation is not always your disqualification. Sometimes it is the place where dependence begins. Then Moses returns to Egypt. He returns to the place he ran from, the palace he once knew. And now he stands before Pharaoh, not as a prince, not as a fugitive, but as a messenger of God. He says, "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, let my people go." This is more than political confrontation. This is spiritual confrontation. Pharaoh keeps hardening his heart. This is one of the most frightening psychological patterns in the story. That is what hardened pride does. It would rather watch everything fall apart than admit it is not God. Pharaoh is the psychology of control. Moses is the psychology of surrender. Moses teaches us that God can use every part of your life. The pain of rejection, the education of Egypt, the silence of the wilderness. Nothing is wasted. The prince had knowledge. The shepherd had humility. God used both. Before Moses ever stood before Pharaoh, God had already been writing his story through the river, the palace, the desert, and the fire. Welcome to a deeper perspective. Welcome to the journey of faith.